Right, here we go. Dundee lads, a storm is about to hit you. Okay, admittedly, I could have used a slightly better choice of words there, given the current climate, quite literally, with my bin basically flying across the street as we speak. But you know what I meant. Tomorrow, Celtic will hopefully get back to winning ways as we take on Dundee in the Premiership. And it's tight at the top, and with just a dozen games to go, there really is little margin for error, especially in a game at home to one of the league's weaker sides. Dundee are now managed by Mark McGee. Yeah, that guy. He was actually a former footballer, believe it or not, and he actually played for Celtic. Some of you older viewers may remember him back in the 1980s. McGee was last seen managing Barnet in 2019. He replaced James McPake earlier this week, but won't be on the touchline for tomorrow's match, given that he is about to serve the first of a 6-match ban for that infamous tirade you just saw back in 2018. Now, Dundee are actually 11th in the Scottish Premiership, 6 points off Ross County, but they do have a game in hand. Bizarrely, James McPake was relieved of his duties or just sacked earlier this week during their best spell of the season, which is quite strange. Their last league match saw them go to Tynecastle against Hearts and win by 2-1. A pretty impressive result. We've already lost at Tynecastle this season. And their most recent match on Monday night was in the Scottish Cup, away to Peterhead. You know, potentially a difficult match, and they came away with a really emphatic 3-0 victory there. They've also had recent goalless draws against local rivals Dundee United and St Johnstone, so they were in decent shape, which makes the sacking of McPake and replacing him with McGee an interesting choice, let's just say. They do have the second worst goals against record in the Premiership, but that has improved recently with some of those results there. 4 clean sheets in their last 6 games, albeit 2 of those coming against lower league opposition. The good news from a Celtic point of view is that we've netted 10 goals in 2 matches against Dundee this season, although half of those 10, that's 5, were scored by Kyogo. Now, in those matches, Dundee had actually tended to have a bit of a go at Celtic, often to their own detriment, conceding 10 goals in 2 matches. They had been playing a 4-3-3 formation under James McPake, so it'll be interesting to see what changes Mark McGee makes for the game tomorrow. You tend to think he'll be more pragmatic than McPake was. It may make it a little bit more difficult for us. Charlie Adam is the obvious big name in the Dundee side, and they also now have former Celtic player Niall McGinn in their ranks, so worth keeping an eye on him as well. In terms of Celtic, we're looking at pretty much the same squad as we had in midweek against Bodo Glimt, although Yosuke Ideguchi will be available. He's not registered for European competition. In terms of our predicted 11, I think we'll see the same keeper and back 4. I think Reo Hatate will come into midfield, probably for Tom Rogic, and I also think Gigi will come in for Maida up front. I could perhaps see Gigi and Maida both playing, with Maida potentially off the left and either Abada or Jota left out. We've got options now. That's the main thing, and options that can make a difference, but we can't afford to change it up too much. I think sometimes Ange this season has maybe tinkered with teams a little bit too much in these home matches, and we have sometimes nearly come a cropper, or we actually have a few times. You know, Livingston at home was quite a bad one. I think he freshened things up for that game. And the Dundee United home match as well, when we scored a late winner, was the same kind of thing. So we really want to avoid that tomorrow. And I think the ideal scenario for Celtic is get your best players in the park early on, score an early goal, which is always key in Celtic games, kill the game off nice and early, and then make changes in the second half, resting players for a couple of really big games to come next week away in Norway and also away to Hibernian. That's the team I would go for, so we'll see how we actually get on. As I said yesterday, Celtic have tended to respond quite well to setbacks this season. I think we'll see more of that tomorrow, and we kind of have to see it tomorrow as well, because I think Celtic are going to potentially be going into this game in a new position. Now, we know we've not been top of the league for very long this season, and I think there's a rather large chance tomorrow of us going into the game at 3 o'clock in second place. Rangers play earlier in the day, I think 12 noon, away to Dundee United. It's a game you would expect them to win. So there's potentially a little bit of pressure on the players, even if they are not necessarily, looking at the league table 5 minutes before going out to the pitch at Celtic Park. Stuff like that can often be felt in the atmosphere at Celtic Park, and especially after a difficult night on Thursday. I think if the game does drag on goalless for a bit, or say we lost the first goal, it could potentially become a little bit sticky for us. So it's a new pressure for us tomorrow, being knocked off top spot and the pressure of trying to get back there. But as always, I back this Celtic side to deal with it. In general, I don't foresee too many issues tomorrow. We know the likes of Livingston and Dundee United and St Mirren have made it difficult for us at times this season. So we really do have to be at it. It's just so tight at the top. I think the league is going to be won by a couple of points this season either way. It's going to go down right to the wire. And games like tomorrow are just must-wins. I mean, at home to Dundee, we just really have to be winning that game. We really, there's not going to be an easy way to take it if we don't win the league, really. But you really don't want to be looking back at a day like tomorrow and thinking, God, we took our eye off the ball at that game at home to Dundee and that cost us. I know there's still a dozen matches to go. There'll still be 11 matches to go after tomorrow. There's still 2 derbies to go, etc. But we are almost approaching that time where, any big slip-ups, a defeat here or there could almost be fatal. So we just really need to be at it tomorrow. Okay, that's really all I've got to say for today's video. Just hoping for a reaction tomorrow. Couple of sticky matches over the last week or so. It'd be good to get everyone firing again, to maybe score 3 or 4 goals tomorrow without replying and really get a convincing victory. I think that's what everyone's looking for. Just a shorter video for you today. We're hopefully going to do most of the talking tomorrow after the game. We will have the reaction for you afterwards, so stay tuned for that. If you're a little lost without a longer 67 Hail Hail video today, I do have a few suggestions for you. The Ange Insight series we've been doing already. We've spoken to Ryan McGowan, to Ernie Merrick and to Matt Smith. I'll link all 3 of those videos below in the description. As always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're maybe just watching us, you've just come across us in the last few weeks and are realising that you're not subscribed, then it does make a massive difference to growing the channel and making it as good as it possibly can be. We're back tomorrow after the game.